teaching in Ghana.
Right. To the extent that someone also has that, it means they copied from you.
But if I prepare this document, or if I stand somewhere and say something, and you say the next day, is it not that easy for me to settle on the fact that you copied?
They said they will scrap e-levy. You say you will scrap e-levy.
Yeah.
Did you copy from them?
Maybe. It is possible. Why not? It is possible. If you say it before me and I say it afterwards, it is possible.
So you are copying from
them? Yes, it is possible.
Fair enough.
You see, there is no gainsaying the fact that Ghana now is in a total mess. Our nation has been totally run down by the ruling New Patriotic Party and has been plunged into bankruptcy. And that is why, for the first time in the last 50 years, Ghana has defaulted on its debt obligations. This is why we have been downgraded from B- in 2016 under President Mahama, a stable economy that could service its debt, an economy that investors had confidence in. We've been downgraded from B- to junk economic status. Debt to GDP, which stood at 56% at the time Mahama was leaving office, rose to 104% in 2022. And as I speak to you, our debt is still unsustainable. Unemployment has almost doubled from 8.4%, according to the Ghana Statistical Service, to about 15% as we speak. Our CD this year alone has depreciated by more than 20%. In 2022, it depreciated by 54%. And today you need almost more than 16 Ghana cedis to get $1. And so we are in a deep mess. And President Mahama, in the tapes you played, recounted some of these things. State institutions that were making profit under the NDC, which today have been totally run down and are on the verge of collapse. The only thing thriving now is corruption, cronyism, nepotism. And so there is a loud cry all across the country for change. And this is not the business as usual kind of change, the ordinary kind of change, the ordinary change we've seen in the history of this country. Like the MPP parliamentarian Kennedy Japan said, change is now calling Ghana. So what we need is a fundamental change in the direction of this country, a fundamental change in the management of this country. And that is what we call a reset. So you don't upgrade something. It's a no-brainer. You don't upgrade a broken system. You don't upgrade a system that doesn't work, a system that is fraught with corruption. What you do is that you reset it, you fundamentally change it, and you begin the process of rebuilding it. I give you a typical example. Currently, we are a bankrupt nation. We can't service our debt. Inflation is so high. Food inflation in Ghana is one of the highest in Africa. Like Tio Echampon said, poverty is on the rise. Unemployment is at an all-time high, okay? The highest in living memory. How do you upgrade such a system? Are you going to upgrade the hardships? Are you going to upgrade the unemployment? Are you going to upgrade the bankrupt economy that can pay its debt? No. That is certainly not the way to go. The way to go is to reset that economy, to change the fundamentals of the economy and the structure of the economy. Move it from the traditional 8-hour work economy to a 24-hour economy that prioritizes production, productivity for the creation of sustainable jobs. I give you a typical, another example in the area of governance. Look at the issue of scholarships and the way it has been abused. This state institution has its own scholarship scheme. This state institution has another scholarship scheme. And the scholarship is always awarded to the privileged. Those whose fathers are higher ups, big men in the government, to go and study courses that have no bearing on the development agenda of Ghana. People are giving scholarship, like the child of Freddie Blay, to go to the Middle Temple to study law. You understand? What that system needs is not an upgrade, it needs a reset. And that is why we are talking about ushering in a new paradigm of government scholarships by passing a new law which will consolidate, regulate, streamline all the existing scholarship schemes and prohibit, ban political appointees and their direct family relatives from enjoying government scholarships. That is the meaning of the research we are talking about. Another example, look at the looting of state lands and assets we are seeing. That system doesn't need an upgrade. By upgrading it, it means you are going to encourage that lootocracy. What it needs is a reset. And that is why John Mahama has promised that we are introducing a first of its kind state asset registry, which will keep track of our state assets. And we are introducing legislation to ban political appointees from purchasing that. So this is a new paradigm shift relative to the management of our nation, the management of our economy and so on. Now you see, the biggest problem confronting our nation today is the high cost of living and the high cost of doing business. Something you know it. We live it every day. It's our daily experience. People are suffering. Never in the history of this country has our people, been subjected to the kind of pain and penury they are going through. And so President Mahama is saying that to start with, we must fix that broken system. And we must ameliorate the plight of suffering Ghanaians. How? By reducing the tax burden on the people and on businesses. And that is why he has promised emphatically that when elected, he will scrap the COVID levy, which simply doesn't make sense. Ghana is the only country charging its people COVID levy, when we should have actually been giving our citizens social incentives to cushion them against the debilitating impact of the pandemic, like Rwanda did and like other advanced countries did. We have turned the disease into a tax. After we got so much, over 25 billion from the pandemic, and misused it, we've been charging COVID levy. How many years after COVID subsided? More than 2 years. President Mahama says he will abolish it. President Mahama has promised again to abolish the obnoxious and regressive e-levy, which doesn't make sense. We will abolish that to provide some relief to suffering Ghanaians. We will also abolish the emissions levy, which also doesn't make sense because this government is already charging us sanitation and pollution levy. How do you charge your people sanitation and pollution levy and still charge them emissions levy? Is emissions not part of pollution? So double taxation. And bear in mind that these taxes, in some cases, senseless taxes, crippling taxes, draconian taxes, have been introduced by people who promised to move us from taxation to production. People who said that the tax burden in 2016 was so high that it was hurting the economy, that they were coming to reduce the tax burden on Ghanaians. So President Mahama says, yes, they are flattered to deceive on their promises, and we can never trust them to scrap these taxes because they themselves introduced these taxes. And so we will not only abolish the emissions levy in addition to the COVID levy and the e-levy, we will also abolish the 10% bet winnings levy. If you want to tax betting, tax the companies like the UK does, like Germany does. Tax the companies to pay higher corporate taxes on their profits, not the innocent Ghanaian. So aside these things, we are also providing a 2-year tax holiday for new, small, and micro businesses. We want to give them a moratorium of 2 years to establish their businesses before they begin to pay corporate taxes and personal income taxes. This was a promise in our 2020 manifesto, which we have repeated in the 2024 manifesto. And we are reviewing...
I know why you had to state that it was in your 2020 manifesto.
Yeah. The consistency is important.
Yeah.
And we are also reviewing the VAT regime to abolish the 3% VAT rate, introduce a standard VAT regime, and also exempt micro and small businesses from paying VAT. We are also going to rationalize port fees and charges to reduce fees and charges at the ports. So these tax measures are aimed at reducing the unbearable cost of doing business and the cost of living in the country. As I speak to you, Samson, Nivea has left Ghana. Big Pen has left Ghana. Glovo has left Ghana. Jumia Food has left Ghana. Dark and Lovely has left Ghana. Lipton Tea has left Ghana. Why are all these businesses leaving Ghana and they are not going to America? They are going to Nigeria. They are going to Cote d'Ivoire. They are going to Togo. Why are they leaving Ghana? Because of the unbearable tax burden by a group of people who rode on the back of lofty, mouth-watering promises into power and have turned out to be the biggest political scam in the history of our nation. And that is why we are doing this. But what even excites me are the social interventions contained in the manifesto, some of which you made reference to, which I need to explain, because it will, in addition to these tax cuts, provide the needed relief Ghanaians are yearning for. And number one, like you said, we are introducing the no fee stress policy. We're saying that no first year student in a public tertiary institution, be it university, technical, university, polytechnic, college of education, nursing training institution, will pay academic fees. And if you don't know what academic fees are, just pick the admission letter of any new entrant. The amount of money stated there, which the child must pay before he can become a student. The academic fees usually constitutes 95% of that amount. So averagely, you're talking about 2,300, 2,500, 2,600, depending on the institution. We are taking that burden away from parents. And you see, that gives me joy. Because only yesterday, your good friend, Lawyer Susu, was telling me a story about a young man called Joseph Luther, who completed the West African Senior Secondary School in Accra here. Topped his batch, best student with aggregate 6, Joseph Luther. I'll share his pictures with you. 2023 batch. He had dreams of going to school to study dentistry. Unfortunately, he couldn't go to school because of the high cost of admission fees. We are taking that burden away. In addition to that, continuing students will be able to apply for the student loan plus, which gives you a higher amount than the normal student loan to support your fees. Then they will also have access to on-campus accommodation through the Bed for All program we will be rolling out in collaboration with the private sector. As for persons with disability, we are taking a bold step of scrapping fees for them, all forms of fees for them, from level 100 to level 400. No person with disability will pay school fees under the next NDC Mahama government. And on top of that, there is this Mahama Cares intervention, which I am also excited about because I have family relatives with chronic diseases like cancer. And I know you know people with diabetes. You know people with hypertension and other form of heart diseases. You know people with kidney failure who sometimes are just left to die because they cannot afford the high cost of medication. A nation, Samson, that does not take care of its sick is sick. A nation that does not take care of its sick is sick. All these chronic diseases, which account for the highest percentage of mortalities, deaths we record in this country, are not covered by the health insurance.
Right.
And so we're establishing a special fund called Mahama Cares to support the cost of treatment for them.
So
in addition to the free primary health care, which will ensure that anybody who goes to a CHIP compound, a clinic, a polyclinic, a health center is treated for free whether or not they have health insurance. Now you ask about funding, and I will just answer that in the next 1-2 minutes. You see, the problem with us as a country is not the inadequacy of funds. It has to do with the misplaced priorities of the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government.
So you say you are going to implement a no academic fee policy for first-year students in all public tertiary institutions, including universities, colleges of education, and nursing training colleges.
Yes.
The question is, your government said we couldn't give these nurses their allowances. The teachers, we couldn't continue with the allowances. The country's purse could not take care of that. What changed?
We are not talking about allowances. And these are not allowances. In fact, what we did with allowances was to replace the allowances, not to cancel, to replace the allowances with student loans, because we had upgraded teacher training institutions into tertiary level colleges of education, and we said for equity, take student loans like your colleagues in other tertiary institutions do, so that we can abolish the quota system which was inhibiting access. Now, what we are talking about has got nothing to do with allowances. We have seen a problem where a lot of children who pass their WASI, get admission, are not able to enter various tertiary institutions because the admission fee is so high. And you see, at the entry level, parents bear a lot of cost in addition to the academic fees. But when your child is going to university, the things you are buying for the child, just so that the child can go, the prospectus, in fact, the food, the things you need to buy, the chop money and all that, in addition to the admission fee, account for a lot of children dropping out.
What's happening to your perspective on free SHS about making it discriminatory rather than wholesale? Because there are people who can afford. There are people who don't need the first entry fees that you are going to pay.
Yeah.
There are those who you pay the entry fee, and after that, they can't continue.
Yeah.
They may drop out.
No, they won't drop out because the student loan plus is there now. And you see, once you gain admission, the heavy lifting is gaining admission to become a student. If you don't pay that money, you don't become a student. Once you enter school and you even owe your second year or third year fees, you're able to negotiate with the authorities. You have 1 year to pay. But for the admission fee, usually they have a short period of time from the time the results come to the time that they must enter school. So that is what we are doing.
So we take it that you have revised your earlier approach.
Let me answer the part about the discrimination. The problem we had with the mode of implementing, which was not only an NDC problem, even Akufo-Addo's cousin Ken Ofori-Atta made the same argument, was that provide a system for those who want to pay. And that system will be provided under this system. That is it. Provide a system, give opportunity to those who say, look, government, thank you, I can pay.
How do you expect that to happen?
Why won't that happen?
It's free.
Something.
So
yeah, it is free.
Why should I say I opt to pay?
It is free, but provide the opportunity. If I can pay for my child, I will pay. You understand? That opportunity is what Ken Ofori-Atta, Stephen Adair, higher ups in the MPP called for.
If we use the CDD's democracy projects, their analysis of the fiscal impact of repealing e-levy, it means the projected revenue we are talking about is going to be over 8 billion. Okay. Then for the COVID tax,
8 billion over what period?
2015, 2025, 2026, and 2027.
Let me tell you something.
Then COVID tax will take us to almost 14 billion.
It's all true.
So you say we are broke,
but look,
and that is the fact.
How are you
going to get that money?
Our public debt has increased by 641 billion. And all these amounts you are quoting pale into insignificance when it is compared to the total resource envelope that has accrued to this government. They alone, Mills and Mahama in 8 years borrowed $4.7 billion from the Eurobond market. They alone in 6 years borrowed $11 billion. What did they use the money for? The net effect of what they did with the money is the bankruptcy we find ourselves in. So the problem is not the inadequacy.
You talk about bankruptcy.
These are the people.
And you guys force us.
Let me give you some
to say this because you always discount COVID and you always discount Ukraine.
So why is Côte d'Ivoire not bankrupt? Why are they still servicing their debt? Why is Togo servicing its debt? Why is Nigeria servicing its debt? Why is Burkina Faso servicing its debt?
Are you sure?
Are
you sure a Nigerian?
Let me answer you.
Are you sure a Nigerian wants Ghana's? A Nigerian will not prefer Ghana's economy to our economy.
Our economy that can service its debt. I'm saying that how did COVID jump all these countries and only came to destroy our country's economy, rendering it bankrupt? Look, these people went for one cabinet retreat in 2021 and spent 4.5 million cedis in 1 day. 45 billion OCDs.
Okay.
These people, let me answer your question because I want to show you where the money is.
I need you to take a pause.
No. I have to, in fairness, in 1 minute, let me answer.
Okay.
Look, when we were leaving office, we were running the office of government machinery with just about 700 million Ghana cedis. As I speak to you, the allocation alone is over 2 billion cedis. You know that. Look at the monies they have wasted on that useless pits they call a cathedral. $58 million, equivalent to 928 million cedis. That is aside the arrears, the debt we owe the contractor. If you add that, that is close to 2 billion Ghana cedis. And you tell me that we can't find just about 300 million to cushion their careers. They can become lawyers like Samson Ladi Ayinene and so on. So the problem has to do with the corruption. It has to do with the waste and the misplaced priorities. And that is why John Mahama has promised that within 90 days, in fact, he says within 14 days, his cabinet appointments would have been done ready for parliamentary approval. And within 90 days, he would have put in place the leanest and the most efficient government in our history that will eschew profligacy and waste, and that will promote modesty and efficiency in the utilization of legal